Hello, I'm Jennifer Weil, and I'm here to talk today about our WCMICS funded project, Communication Skills Training for Cancer Medicine Registrars. And I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking on behalf of the project team. Why? So there are documented deficiencies in clinical communication, and that's something that's well recorded in the literature. We know that clinical communication skills are evidence-based, and again, we've got a robust literature, more than 20 years. We know that communication skills can be taught. So contrary perhaps to popular belief, these are not innate skills. These are things that can be taught, learned, and require practice. There's no attainment ceiling, and so we should all be practicing our clinical communication skills regularly to maintain them at the highest level possible. And we know that opportunities for this skills-based practice that we know is so essential is unfortunately limited. Not only is it limited in terms of practice, but it's limited in terms of skill acquisition. And so what we wanted to do was bring clinical communication skills, which are evidence-based, to the workplace. So the way that we planned to do this was to scale up an existing communication skills training workshop and develop supporting resources for a series of experiential communication skills workshops. So these were to be delivered in 3 two-hour sessions to advanced trainees in cancer medicine, based, as I said, on an existing model that had been running at St Vincent's Hospital, but with resources and so forth to allow experienced facilitators to be able to take the package and run it at other centres. Obviously, this was going to involve not only the development of the resources and supporting material, but we were going to need to develop a faculty who had experience in communication skills training. And we'd also need the support of the organisation and need to develop resources to ensure that. This project was focusing on St Vincent's, Royal Melbourne and the WCMICS. However, what we're really hoping for is proof of concept that this can be developed and run successfully in other WCMICS centres. How? Well, first of all, the how and the impact of our project needs some discussion about COVID. COVID has certainly impacted our project, and that impact has been significant because our project officer was actually redeployed for a period, so we had to pause the project. The other important impact is that our gold standard of communication skills training is a face-to-face model, and that requires an actor to be in a room with a small group, including the facilitators and the participants. So obviously, not only are we not able to take doctors off the floor during a pandemic and take time out of their clinical work while the pandemic was at its height, but even now, because of social restrictions, running face-to-face workshops needs to be put on hold. Our plan, however, is to ensure that by the calendar year end, that we have finished developing the resources, and I'll talk more to what the resources look like, that we've developed our faculty of experienced facilitators who are familiar with the resources and ready to facilitate and roll out this training program. We'll have another meeting of our advisory group to ensure that they endorse the resources and the faculty development, and also that they have a series of recommendations that we compile to ensure organisational support. And what we're hoping is that in 2021 that we'll be able to actually run the workshops. We know that the workshops are effective and we know that they are appreciated and useful learning for trainees from previous evaluations of the pilot program at St Vincent's. However, as part of this project, we'd really like to give the resources a trial run. So we're really hopeful that by mid-2021 that we'll be able to do that. And we haven't wanted to proceed with a virtual teaching model because we know that face-to-face workshops are the gold standard, and so we're keen to maintain the gold standard for this project work. Now, a little bit more about the resources. So the resources are going to involve some PowerPoints to give the theory and the skills. We've developed some short skills-based videos to support the teaching based around a haematology case, which we follow from sort of beginning to end. And I'll show you an example of that. There are posters around the room to remind trainees when they're doing their experiential learning of the skills that we've taught them. There'll be a detailed facilitator guide so that this is really a straightforward process for an experienced communication skills facilitator to run this program. And essentially what we have developed is absolutely everything that an experienced facilitator will need to run small group experiential communication skills training for advanced cancer medicine trainees. And this is an example of one of the videos. So this is one of the frameworks that we will teach them for breaking bad news or having a conversation.
David, I noticed that you're looking a bit worried. Is everything okay?
Jane couldn't come in today, and I know you're going to give me the results of the MRI from last week. So a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally understandable. You mentioned that Jane couldn't come in. Is everything okay?
Oh yes, she's fine. It's just the grandkids, you know, she's got to look after them. The nanny's not well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Are you all right for me to go through the results of the MRI?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay, so the MRI shows that the myeloma has returned in your back, and that's what will be causing your pain. I am concerned that if we don't get on with treatment soon, it could damage your spinal cord and this could affect your walking.
Yeah, well, that's what we're worried about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is what we were worried about.
Yes, well, the myeloma hasn't been a problem, but this sounds like trouble now.
Yes, David, that's right. It is a serious thing, and I really do think we need to get on with treatment soon. But seeing as Jane couldn't be here today, would you like me to go over things again, or we could give her a call?
Oh yes, Doctor, I'd really appreciate you giving her a call. Yeah. What sort of treatment are you thinking of?
So you can see there that they're a really valuable teaching resource, allowing skill spotting and really showing the trainees how the skills relate to the conversations that they have really on a daily basis. And we have a series of these 5 videos that support the PowerPoints and the theory. So the key message is that how you communicate matters. So the process of communication matters. And this is a quote from Buckman that really illustrates this need. We will never meet everyone's expectations, but the skill and effort we put into our clinical communication does make an indelible impression on our patients, their families, and their friends. And before I finish, I just want to acknowledge all those that have been involved, the health services, our executive sponsor, our fabulous project manager, Fiona Israel, and our advisory group for their support. Thank you again, and I look forward to taking any questions.